The abandonment rate on forms is over 70%. It's huge.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. And people abandon for all kinds of reasons.
What are the most common reasons?
It could be doorbell ring. Who knows? But we all do it, right?
Yeah.
Any data that goes in the forms, we capture it, whether somebody hit submit or it's completely abandoned. People want the data to use for like retargeting programs, and they're getting hundreds and hundreds of leads.
Hey, thanks for checking out the Future Fox podcast. Today's guest is Joe Caston, a friend of mine from Pickleball. He is a marketing expert, and he's developed some software with a new business called MyFormData.com, where they're able to like capture people's data that if they didn't finish filling out your online form. It was a really cool conversation. He's a wealth of knowledge about Google and SEO and how to get your website to the top of Google. So check out the conversation. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe to our podcast, wherever you get podcasts, and enjoy the episode. All right. Well, Joe Caston, thank you for being here today. You run two businesses, Playmakers X, which is a marketing company, marketing firm, and MyFormData. Why don't you give us your elevator pitch, maybe starting with Playmakers?
So Playmakers X is a digital marketing agency. We've been in business since 2010, and our focus is really driving traffic and converting traffic for our clients. We typically focus on B2B type of clients, but some of the things we do include building WordPress websites, driving traffic through search engine optimization, paid ads, a lot of content creation for blogs. And LinkedIn outreach are some of the things that we do. But that's
so mostly surrounded around their website. Everything's just about getting people to their website now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tell me about some of your like normal clients. Is there a certain industry that you kind of deal with mostly, or is it broad?
I'd say it's generally broad. I mean, over the years we've had where we've had a concentration, but it wasn't our focus. It just happened to be the
Well, if you do a good job for one person in the industry, the other people, their friends in the same industry find out, right?
Right.
Is that how you guys grew?
Yeah. So certainly we get a lot of referrals from our customer base. We're pretty aggressive since we're a marketing company, doing LinkedIn outreach, emailing, a little bit of networking, like at Pickleball.
Yep.
So those kinds of things.
Where do you find the most success in your own marketing? What do you guys do?
I'd say LinkedIn outreach and email are probably our best two.
Okay. Yeah. LinkedIn has been good for me. I don't get a lot of conversions, but I get a lot of interactions. I feel like it's a good place to have like business conversations, I feel like, and that don't happen on any other platform. Like no one's having the same conversations on Facebook, right?
Right. I mean, LinkedIn's both of our targets, and everybody's on there. I mean, what is there, like 360 million business people on there? I don't know if that's the right number.
That sounds like a lot, but yeah, I mean, that's probably true. It's global, right? So yeah, I'm sure all over the world there's tons of people. So I'm pretty active on there. And I think a lot of our clients are active on there. So that's one of the reasons that we put a lot of effort and energy into creating content for it. So
we like to automate the process and help our customers, everything from making sure their profile looks a certain way and the messaging and keywords is in there, all the way to connecting software up to automate the beginning process so that they don't have to spend their time manually, sending out messages. And we found that to be pretty helpful for people.
Oh, cool.
And it helps build a good pipeline.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. So you said you started in 2010?
Yeah.
What were you doing before 2010?
So I ran a software company called Cadre Technologies, which was a warehouse management software.
Okay.
And prior to this, I've always been in the tech industry, always in sales, marketing, and general management.
Okay.
And I ran a lot of venture-backed companies.
Okay.
So Boulder Ventures out of Boulder, Appian Ventures, those kinds of things. So fun times.
Is that pretty feast or famine?
It is.
Okay.
It is. I mean, if you think about their business model, they're doing a lot of research on companies before they write a big check. And certainly they're implanting themselves on the board and other mechanisms. But
The due diligence.
But their model of success is, out of 10 companies, maybe 4 or 5 fail.
Okay.
And then
it's that. I thought it was even lower than that. I thought you had like a 10% hit rate.
Yeah, well, it's getting there. Is 4 or 5 fail, couple singles and doubles, and if they're lucky out of that 10, they might get one home run.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So it's a big fail rate.
That's a good baseball analogy. Okay, I gotcha. All right, so they get 3 or 4 strikeouts, maybe a single or a double in there, and then one home run out of 10.
If it works good for them.
And then what is it? I mean, I'm sure it varies wildly in that world, but what are they? How many X's are they? Are we 10X in our investment? I mean, I'm sure it's all over the place and just depends on the business. But what are they hoping? Well, I guess what are your investors hoping for?
Well, they're pretty stringent about what they're looking for because they want to get that big hit.
Yeah.
And so it's got to be a big enough deal size and a big enough market for them to see those kinds of returns you're talking about.
Yeah. Are they always like big angel investors or are there smaller groups with like a lot of people?
Sometimes angels will start, but the VCs are, they're usually looking for somebody who wants to, depends on the VC, but here in Colorado, I'd say they want somebody who is probably going to at least accept $2 to $5 million to start.
Whew. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a big chunk of change.
All right. Well, if you know any, send them my way. If they want to invest in the Future Fox podcast, let me know.
Will do.
Awesome. So then I'm assuming that your other business, MyFormData, is, tell me a little bit about that. And then I want to hear how that started. I imagine you running Playmakers X, you saw part of the problem and you found a solution for it.
Yes. Back in 2019, we spend all of our days looking at how to drive traffic and then get conversions.
Yeah.
That's a majority of our team does. So one day we were like, well, what happens if somebody goes to your website, they navigate to one of your forms, and they start to fill it out and they leave? What happens to the data? So we decided we wanted to try to solve that problem. And we did. And so we first came up, that was our problem solve, is how do we capture that data? So we're currently on version 3 now, but that's how it started. And so we developed the software. We put a small script on your website.
Okay.
And then we scan your forms. And any data that goes in the forms, we capture it, whether somebody hit submit.
Okay.
Or it's completely abandoned.
Or they just put their first name in. And what if they put no data in? There's nothing to capture?
Right.
Okay. So, but if they put their first and last name in,
a record, but yeah, it depends because a lot of forms get unfilled. The abandonment rate on forms is over 70%. It's huge.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, and people abandon for all kinds of reasons.
What are the most common reasons?
There's several. It could be somebody walked in my office.
ADHD.
You asked me for too much personal information.
Okay.
The doorbell rang. Who knows? But we all do it, right?
Yeah.
You start to fill out. So that's how it started. And then we started capturing the data. And then after that it was like, well, what do we do next? So the next thing we do is verify the email to make sure it's real because we don't want to put bad data in a database.
Yeah, yeah.
And then after that,
how do you verify it?
We go out. We have several data partners that we're connected to, and it goes out to their database and says if it's real or not.
Okay.
And then after that,
they can do that quickly then.
Yeah. Like within milliseconds.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. That's crazy.
And then we enrich the data. So enriching the data is pretty interesting. So like, let's say that you came to a form on a site that had MyFormData and you put in either your first, last name or your email. Our system will go up to our partner's database and look and see if we can find records on you.
Okay.
And if we do, we'll bring down like 25 fields of data.
Okay.
And the match rate is about
25 fields. I can't imagine what else. There's, I guess, age, sex, like there's the obvious ones.
Yes.
Like your
all the
email.
Demographic information, emails, titles. We bring down LinkedIn and Facebook information.
Wow. Okay. I'm sure you guys have all my information. I'm all over the internet. So yeah, I probably have my social security number, I'm sure.
So that's kind of fun. And the match rate's, like I said, 60%. We have a 60% chance of getting a match.
Okay.
And then once we get that data, we score the data to make sure it's good.
Like on a 1 to or 0 to 100?
Yes.
Okay.
And then after that, people want the data
Yeah.
to use for like retargeting programs.
Are you giving it?
Emailing?
Are you selling it? Are you are they paying up front and then you give them everything you get, or are you paying? Or how does the financials of that work? How, if I wanted to implement this, what are my options?
So, based on the pricing, it's based on how many forms you have, how much traffic you have coming to your website.
Okay.
But our basic package is $200 a month.
Okay.
And we have an install fee of a similar amount to get everything rolling for them.
Okay.
It's very quick. We can do it within an hour.
Okay.
And once we get the data, they can either download it in a comma delimited file, or if they're a big company and they're getting hundreds and hundreds of leads, then they might engage Zapier, if you're familiar with Zapier. And that way they can just connect it right up to their CRM and then assign the leads to their sales team.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So it just
that
depends.
is impressive. Yeah, that's a really great tool, man, for companies who are getting a lot of traffic to their site and people abandoning. I didn't realize people abandon. I'm sure I have done that in the past. You just don't even think about it or realize it.
People are shocked that people came to their website, they didn't know about it, and filled out their form. And
well, you think your business and your everything is, hot stuff. Yeah. Why would someone not finish filling out their form? I put so much work into my form and like how, where it is on my website and the questions I ask and stuff, but no form is going to capture every single person's attention and get them to finish filling it out. So
yeah, so it's a pretty cool tool. And then once people get the data, they start integrating it into their regular marketing tools.
Yeah.
And if you're paying money to drive traffic to your site, you want all the leads. And it belongs to them. It's not ours. Okay. Because we're putting a snippet on. So
you're not taking anything from that data and reselling it to anyone else.
No, it's our client's data.
Okay, and so then they just every month they're getting a list, or it's going straight into their CRM, and they're able to just treat it as if it was a full lead.
Exactly.
Wow, that is cool. That is a really cool solution.
And thank you. There's one other thing that we found out over time is that if our client has a sales team of anywhere from 1 to hundreds, is if they're out networking or they're meeting prospects some way, they can actually go to their own website and put in some information that they may have met somebody at.
Okay.
And then they can use the software that way to see if there's a match rate and get their contact information.
Oh, okay.
And then follow up, right? Because they may not have all of it.
Yeah. They might have got a name or email or something, but they want a phone number or they want a little bit of demographics. So, okay. That's interesting. So would they just if they meet someone in person, do they just go to the website and put in whatever information they have and then just know that automatically in 2 weeks it's going to show up in their inbox?
Yeah, well, it will show up within a minute.
Oh, okay.
So,
I thought you guys collected all the information and then sent it out to them all at one time.
No, it goes into the system, and then they can log in anytime they want.
Okay.
To take a look or download or whatever they're going to do.
So let me ask you this question, since you're so familiar with forms. I'm actually I have a CRM that I've used for a long time. And it worked for us, but we've started, running Google Ads and diving into that world and trying to grow our business. And our form has a lot of limitations. Is there a form that you recommend to people that you like more than others, or is it case-by-case basis? What are some really good ones?
Are you talking about the actual form provider or the type of form, or both?
Sure, both, but mostly the form provider. Yeah, because our CRM, we use our CRM, embed the form on our website, but it doesn't collect some of the things that we want it to.
So a couple of things here is there's hundreds of form providers, and they all do it a little bit different.
Sure.
We love a company called Gravity Forms.
Okay.
We think it's easy to, our developers, can put the forms in for our clients and get it the way it want or make adjustments, and then. Couple of tips here is when you get your form ready to go, we like to have the name and the email be the first two forms.
Okay.
Because obviously, the longer your form is, the more chance you have of form abandonment,
Yep.
people not filling out all the information you want. So you want to capture the most important data first. And to us, it's those two things so that we can go ahead and see if we can do a match and get more data for you.
Okay.
But I would keep forms very short.
Okay.
Just to get the information. Some people think, I want to do full qualifications. Why do you want this? And it's so long. And it's like,
people bail on it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Even if, so for us, like people who end up on our website, they're looking for someone to make a video for them. Yeah. I think I have like 6 questions, it's like name, email, your company name, tell me about this project in your own words, and then ballpark budget. I think that's it.
That sounds
You
very
think that's
reasonable.
Okay. Yeah.
People may be hesitant to give you a budget number even though you want to qualify.
I think I have like unsure as an option, so they can always choose that if they want. But I like to qualify them a little bit and see and like how fast should I respond. If it's over 20K, then they're getting a text message. Yeah, I'm following up immediately. And if it's a $5,000 budget, well, I'll talk to them in the morning.
Right.
So yeah, how much should I chase them down depending on their budget? So, but there is an option if they chicken out and don't want to, or they just, sometimes they don't know. They have no idea how much what they want to do cost, right? So I kind of give them an out, I guess.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So what's the next evolution for you guys with MyFormData? Are you guys looking at expanding, growing anyway?
We're always looking to grow our business. Yeah. The deal size, since a lot of it's $200 a month.
Yeah, it's a subscription model.
It is.
How long do they sign up for? Is it a year-long contract?
Month to month.
Oh, you can just do month to month. Okay,
Yeah,
so if it stops working out for you.
anytime they want.
Okay, what's your retention rate? Do you know?
I'd say 65, 70%.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Is there a size business, like how much traffic where it makes sense? Like I feel like I would love that, but I don't think that I would get.
You're probably not getting enough.
I'm not getting
traffic
enough
to
traffic.
justify it.
Exactly. I'm getting a couple hundred people to my site a month. You know what I mean? So it's not like a ton. It's very our service is very hyper specific. So we're not getting a ton of traffic. Is there a threshold where it starts to make sense?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things to think about. One is how much traffic you're getting to your site. Along with that, we always take a look at that because it determines, like, let me give you an example. We've had realtors on this platform, and they don't get much traffic to their website.
Okay.
But if they get one lead that turns into a $15,000 commission check for them, then the $200 is
nothing.
The ROI is great. And it's peanuts in terms of dollars. And then we've had other companies, like we have a company up in Boulder that's a mover.
Okay.
And they're getting 10,000 people a month to their site.
Whoa, okay.
And so they get 250 or 300 leads a week from us.
Yeah.
So it goes into their CRM, and then their sales manager has to divvy up the leads and
Are they able to quantify that
in terms of
revenue from your service?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that one's an easier one to do.
Yeah, that's sounds like a case study for you guys that should be on the front page.
So it depends on how much traffic you're getting, and
so it seems like the more traffic, the better the investment.
It is.
And you guys, your pricing scales up depending on how much traffic they get.
Yes.
Okay. Nice. How many clients do you have right now? How many people are using your service?
We have 120.
Okay. Nice. That's awesome. And tell me about your team. How big is your team? You're not just doing all this by yourself.
So our combined
Just staying up all night, just coding everything?
We're a typical marketing firm and software firm where we try to outsource as much as possible to experts and keep the expenses low.
Sure.
And we have a team of about 10 people across both companies. And in the digital marketing space, we're kind of the belief that it's a mile wide and a mile deep, and not everybody can know everything.
Sure, yeah.
So we keep experts in various areas. Like we have several copywriters that write lots of copy for blog articles or press releases. We have SEO people. We have a couple of WordPress developers that we use. And on the software side, we use web developers in India, and they've been great.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. We have, I have an editor in the Philippines. Like,
Right. The VAs,
the global, they're amazing. Yeah. I mean, they speak better English than me and they're super hardworking and they do a great job. So the global marketplace now with the internet and just like everyone has access, it's so easy. It's so interesting to me that you can outsource some of this stuff and it's a win-win for everyone, you know?
It is. And you find some really talented people across just a variety of disciplines. And I enjoy working with them and in lots of ways. So.
Yeah, same. I haven't dove into India yet, but we do a lot with the Philippines, and so.
Dude, cool.
Yeah.
We've got some VAs that we have over there. So.
Okay, nice, great. Tell me about you were talking about SEO and writing. You have copywriters and stuff. How do you feel like AI is? Are you into the AI stuff, and how do you feel like that's going to affect what you guys do?
You know, we've been into AI for the last several years. You know, we first, maybe 5 years ago, we started looking, since we write content, we've used a variety of tools to see if they could generate content from us and we could save money doing that. And so far what we've found out, and again, it's getting better every day, is that you still need a human to kind of shape the content to be.
You have to give them a lot of variables, a lot of inputs, right?
Yeah, because you don't know, you need to have integrity.
Yes.
With what you're producing. And so that's really important for our clients. And it needs to be readable by a human as well.
Is Google, someone told me that Google is crawling, and if it picks up that your blogs, your SEO stuff was written by AI, you actually get it's a negative effect on your SEO.
Yeah, they have a 200-point algorithm that changes constantly, and that's kind of our job to try to figure out, and they don't publish it.
Okay.
So it's kind of a hit and miss thing, and you find things by keeping in touch with other SEOs and just doing things. And so
are there tried and true methods though that hey, they're going to change their algorithm, but if you do these 5 things, you should be pretty good?
I think there is, if you, and these aren't in any order, but you need to optimize your site for the on-page stuff, with title tags and keywords and doing the right research. Because that's kind of, since I've been in it since 2010, that's always been part of the algorithm. Produce really good content.
Yeah.
Because every time you add the best way to do that is put a blog on your site. And every time you add a blog page, it adds another page to your site.
Yeah. And
the more pages you have, the better it is. So there's certainly tactical things in there. All the off-page stuff, link building is still a thing.
Yeah.
And it's been around for a long time.
You're just talking about backlinks?
Yes. Yeah. Because that's always a vote for your site when Google comes, because they're indexing, and they have been for 2 decades.
Okay.
And they're really good at it, indexing people's sites. Okay. So after we make changes, we always go into Google Console and have them index a site again.
Okay.
To make sure it's up to date, because we want
to make a score for that.
Yeah, the easier you make it for them, the better that it is.
Okay.
But going back to your question about AI, we've written some blogs on Chat GDP and some of the other tools that have come out saying, gosh, they're going to be able to compete with Google. And I do think there is some element of that. However, we're kind of still skeptics to a degree, because that's what it is now, and it has been for 20 years. It's software. When you do a research on the best places to play pickleball or restaurants near me, it's always been software about what they've indexed, and then whatever their 200-point algorithm, and then what they're going to display. I mean, that's how they make money. So it still isn't as reliable as we'd like to see. You know what I mean? Because if you start feeding people false information, they're not going to come back.
Yeah.
And so it depends on what you aim AI for when it's eating up all that data and then spitting out something for you.
Yeah.
But it's coming.
As far as
it's getting more reliable and better all the time. But we do.
You think Google algorithm will stay ahead of that, though? They'll be able to stay for now. Yeah. Yeah. Until there's quantum computing or something.
Yeah. And one other thought on Google is, if you look at the money they make out of all their businesses, which is an incredible franchise.
Yeah, a lot of money.
And I don't remember what their quarter was last quarter, but I want to say it's somewhere in the 60 to 80 billion dollars.
They're doing okay
for paid ads only.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I mean, that's their bread and butter.
Yep.
And they've got it dialed in. And
I was going to ask you about paid ads and versus organic. How do you coach people on that? How do you, we only, as business owners, we only have, limited resources, at least I do. And it's like, should I spend my time and energy and money if I have $5,000 to put into this? Should I spend that just running paid ads to try and get leads, or should I spend it on organic SEO and trying to get to the top? I mean, I guess it probably depends on the business. What are your thoughts on that?
Let me talk about that. That's, in your approach, there's several elements to consider.
Okay.
And certainly you mentioned one, which is budget and what you're trying to do, but let me compare this. So if you do organic search, that's tied to your own business domain.
Yeah.
And if you ever go to sell your business and somebody says, Matthew, how are you getting business? In one of those ways, you say, well, we've invested in SEO and we're getting X amount of traffic.
Yeah, we're the third Denver videographer that pops up.
Right.
Yeah.
So that has its own value. It's kind of like buying a house.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because it's going to grow, and the more keywords and the more traffic.
That was like remodeling your home,
right?
Investing in your home as an asset.
Is. The thing is, though, is for people who haven't done SEO before, it's not something where we can flip a switch and make you show up.
Sure.
It's a long-term view
Yeah.
doing SEO.
How often should a business like me, how often should I be investing in that and updating it?
I think
daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, quarterly?
All the above.
Okay.
I think
you're a believer,
company,
huh?
Yeah, a company like yours, I know you're not getting a lot of traffic, but you should at least do the on page and a little bit of off page, and you're kind of doing it. You're producing lots of content that you put on your website. So I say that's probably good enough for this business. And then on the Google Ads or the pay-per-click, there might be reasons. That's kind of like leasing an apartment or a house, because you can get out of the gate really quickly with it.
Yeah.
Do your research, get your ad set up, and you're starting to show traffic across all of Google's platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get a return pretty quickly. But once you turn it off, it's gone. You don't own it.
Yeah.
That's why I compare the two, like owning and leasing or owning and renting.
Okay.
But there's reasons to do both depending on what you're trying to do. And we do that a lot with people because some people get hit from both.
I feel like, the first 10 things that show up though are all paid. And unless you're pretty tech savvy like me, when I search something, I'm looking for, auto glass. I have a busted windshield and I search, auto glass repair, near me or whatever. Highlands Ranch, that's where I live. And I kind of usually I might look at the map, but I'm usually scrolling down past all the sponsored stuff, and I'm looking at like the local companies,
right? The organic results,
stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think that a lot of people do that. I think maybe younger people do, or tech savvy people do. But I think there's a lot of people, boomers and older people who aren't aware of what they're clicking on, who are just clicking on the first thing they see, right? And so whoever's at the top one or the second one, whichever one catches their eye, I guess. So,
yeah, I mean, everybody computes and searches differently.
Yeah.
I mean, everything from the apps on your phone to as you search.
Okay.
And I think what you suggested is definitely true. There's a lot of people Google owns that page. It's called the search engine results page, or SERP.
Mm-hmm.
And that's prime real estate. And they're going to put, if they get 70 billion a quarter from ads, first things are going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's their business model. So I guess, is there any value? I just had this realization. Is there any value in understanding who your target demographic is and how they search?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Is that something you guys help with?
Because if you're thinking for you that, I'm going to call it small to medium-sized businesses of a certain size might have a certain demographic in there, then you could adjust. But either way, it's constantly changing and Google owns that real estate, so it's not like you can dictate what goes there.
Well, let me give you a scenario. Maybe you can just coach me up a little bit, and this could be for anyone else who might be in a similar situation. I think like what I want to target, my perfect client is small to medium business. They have 5 to 100 employees, something like that. I have a couple of businesses in mind right now that we worked with, and they have some sort of like marketing person or a person whose job it is to do marketing as a big part of their job, or they have a marketing director. A lot of times they usually don't have a marketing team, but they have a person, and that person goes, "Hey, we need some social media content. We need a video for the website. We need some photos and a banner video for our website." And they're going online. Maybe they don't know somebody, or they reached out to their video person and they weren't available. So now they got to find somebody who they've never worked with. And so I'm trying to put myself in their shoes. There's a couple of ladies that I work with who are marketing directors at medium-sized companies, and they are searching, videographers near me or something, video production businesses near me. So how would I find, what should I do on my side to target those, to find those people?
Well, I think and we see a lot of that as well, of one person or a very small marketing team is, I think the first place they're going to go is their own contact list.
Network.
Yeah. And go, gosh, I know somebody who's the director of marketing. Maybe they have somebody that's reliable and trust. Yeah. So they're going to go there first. They might be part of several marketing organizations in town, like the AMA, and reach out to them and search.
Okay.
They're going to do search. It depends where they're at on that process list. Sure. And they may not search under just videographers. You consider yourself that, and you would search that way, but they might search under create videos for websites, and there's hundreds of search terms.
Okay. Yeah. So, and you never know what they're gonna choose.
And the other thing with that is the long tail search words, which are really specific. Like, give me 3 companies in South Denver that do
people
video
say
production. That? Yeah. And they'll do this long string.
Okay.
And it's really big. Those are the best search terms for a business, because you can really tell that people want something.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have as much traffic because they're there. But if you can get those
qualified.
Are good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So you said long tail, meaning that there's a bell curve, a natural bell curve with keywords.
Yes.
I never thought about that. Okay. So there's a natural bell curve with keywords. And if you can target those people on the, on the long tails, you don't have to compete and fight with
right.
people. Okay. Interesting.
Because the bigger companies are going to have huge budgets, and they're going to go after the biggest fruit. And that's not always the best strategy for some of our small clients. We want to get them the right traffic and the amount for the lowest price.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. I like that. I mean, that's what I want, because we are small. I can't handle 10 leads a day, right? But I can handle one really good qualified lead a day. It's perfect for me.
Right.
So I like that. That's good. I never thought people would be searching that, I guess people put all sorts of things into Google to try and find what they're
And you can
for.
Look, Google has a couple tools, and I'm not coming up with the name, but you can look at different data on searches every month, like how many there are, trends in search, and kind of see where your company is, and then you can adjust your campaign. That's just one thing to look at.
It's good to talk to you right now, because I've just in the last few weeks been diving into Google Ads. My business has always been word of mouth, and I think and networking and meeting people. And I feel like I've exhausted that almost, you know what I mean? And you can only go back to the same well so many times. And so I'm like, okay, well, we're steady. Our business is steady. It's good. But if I wanted to grow this, I need to dive into this. And so sort of it's a little bit self-taught, and, and making a lot of mistakes. But the people in Google called me, and I was having a conversation with ChatGPT on a separate screen while I was working with them the other day. And they were trying to sell me on things. And then I would ask ChatGPT, I'm like, is this a good idea? And they're like, no, they're just trying to upsell you on things. They're trying to get you to spend more, increase your ads. Sometimes they'd say, yeah, that's probably a good good thing. Like you should turn that feature on or not or something. So I was
That's
kind of
funny.
using it like as like my expert, and then because they have an agenda, right? The Google people have an agenda.
You know, that's the interesting thing is we work with a lot of Google account managers because since we're an agency, they know that we control certain ad budgets.
Yeah.
And so
do you have dedicated Google ad, like Google?
we do,
Okay.
but this is interesting, is they rotate them every quarter. They don't keep the same one. And the other thing is you're absolutely right. I mean, that's our bread and butter. And so sometimes they'll work with you and you'll get online and they'll try to give you a few ideas, which are good.
Yep.
But always in their scoring system, they have it increase the budget by X%,
Yep.
and that will increase your optimization score. So
Yep.
you know that's coming every single time.
Yes, it's so funny.
So you have to be careful.
I knew there was a feature like the feature where that they've been pushing really hard. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos and was researching. They're pushing this where you advertise on Google partner pages as well, right?
Yeah.
So any Google shopping page, they're putting your ad on the side, or YouTube, they're putting your ad, in there. And so and I'm like, I don't want any of that. And I knew I didn't, but he was like, oh yeah, turn that on. Go ahead and accept that feature. That's going to help you out a lot. You're going to get a lot more leads that way. And I was like, I know that I'm not. So that was like kind of early on in the process. And that's when I realized, I was like, okay.
You're being sold to.
Yes. And that was my realization. I was like, oh yeah, they're helping me, but they're also trying to get me to increase my ad spend, And so I had to be weary. That's when I started chatting with ChatGPT about what I should and shouldn't do. I went back and turned a few features off and like kind of try to get it dialed in. I don't know. I know enough to be very dangerous and make a lot of mistakes. But I'm just kind of playing around. I'm not throwing a huge budget at it or anything. So
that's cool though. I think it could help your business. Another idea for you is local service ads. Have you heard of that by Google? It's part of their Google ads, but it's for local services in a geographic area. So like if you're trying to keep your business in the Front Range or Colorado, you can set it up. It takes forever to get it set up because they check so many things before they'll open your account.
Okay.
But once you do it, it's a little bit different than Google Ads in that they will generate leads for you. They create the forms. You can get phone calls. You can people will leave a voicemail for you.
Where's your information going?
Well, they're doing part of it for you.
Okay.
And then if you get a good lead, they charge you $50 for the lead.
Oh, okay.
So,
interesting.
And we have some clients.
There's a lot of websites like that hit me up a lot. And I'm on some of them, because, but they're usually lower, smaller budget.
And we've kind of had mixed results with the clients we've put on it. We've had some, like we have one that has a cleaning service and it's been mixed.
Okay.
And then we've had others that have had, good quality leads for it.
Okay. Just what do you think it matters? What do you think is the difference?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay. Still playing with it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of interesting. I like that your job is always evolving. How do you keep up with all of that? Like, are you reading materials? Are you getting newsletters, or is it a lot of just trial and error how do you stay in because it is evolving like every day. As you said, they change the algorithm all the time. They're adding tons of new features. I was surprised with how much stuff they were doing with AI on their Google ads, everything it was like, turn this AI feature on, turn this, it'll help you. It was like, I was like, I'm not sure yet. Can we just pause for a second? So how do you keep up with all of that?
Just a variety of things. There's certain people who are industry experts that you follow. There's websites. You do a lot of reading because every time, the SEO community, even though there's a lot of SEOs, you still find that we're a community and people try to share information. So certain people will have trial and error and they might publish.
Okay.
We saw that Google changed this and this is what we think is happening. You don't know if it's true or not.
Okay.
But keeping up with all those things, going to conferences and a lot of trial and error.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, if you do the basic things, to me, there's only so many ways that they can present 200 items on a page.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so if you try to inquire. It's a big software program, so you know about it, and there's only so many things that you can do to present. If you have backlinks, is that worth 15%? If you have new content, is that worth 3%?
They're probably always changing those dials.
Yeah, so
anyways.
it's tweaking. So you need to do the basics really good that you're going to do.
You have a good foundation.
Yeah, and then you will do some tweaks as you find out.
Okay. Yeah. What do you feel like is there the crown jewel? Have you worked on a website that you feel like, oh, this is like, we nailed it. Everything was perfect and they saw great results?
In terms of the design or
I think the results. Yeah, the optimizations and the results, and the client was like super happy. Like, can you share like a testimonial that?
Yeah, you kind of to a degree you can kind of know that up front because we use we probably have over 100 tools that we use in our business for various things.
Okay.
And one of those tools, before we take on a new client, is try to look at their industry and their competitors.
Yep.
And kind of see, and you can kind of see, certain businesses have a natural size for search.
Yeah.
Right. Versus others, depending on how big you are and how much you spend.
Yeah.
So that kind of tells us up front. But there are some times, though, when you look at stuff and you go, oh, we just did all the competitor search. We're going to crush them.
No.
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
within a short period of time, we know we can get them on page 1. And then there's other businesses that are so competitive that you're going, gosh, they're going to have an enormous budget.
Yeah.
And we tell them all that up front.
Right.
And a lot of our customers are not that big. So
at that point,
we
you
take
just
kind of guerrilla strategies
to
go after the long tail and other things that we
Okay.
can do to get them ranked, to get them their traffic that they need.
Yeah.
While competing with the big guys.
Okay. That's cool. I like that. So different ways, different approaches depending on industry, competition, size of business, and what their goals are.
Yeah.
So everything's kind of tailor-made. Do you guys have do you feel like you have a good like onboarding process with your clients? How do you do that? Tell me about your onboarding process.
We do. Over the years, it's really evolved and developed, in terms of that process.
Yeah, I'm sure it's always,
We're
ours
pretty good
is
about
always evolving.
Documentation.
Okay.
And kind of go through the process that we need to get them onboarded. So the first part is always busy and a little bit chaotic because we're setting up new tools and going through all this process. And sometimes they're not familiar with it. But once we get it set up, then it's more about coming back because we like to do regular meetings with our clients. We send them reporting and we like to look at all the data together, through the various tools that we gather. And then we look at it together and we like to walk through, has anything changed in your business? Do you have a new product? Or like when we're doing Google ads, when we're starting out, we always create 2 or 3 and then we run a smaller budget on it and then see which ones perform.
Gotcha. Yep.
And then between us and them, we're constantly changing that to try to get, more impressions, more clicks, more form fills, whatever they're wanting.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's great. Tell me, what do you feel like separates your business from your competitors? What are you guys doing that is different and unique and makes you guys attractive for clients?
Well, we've kind of zeroed in on B2B businesses because we feel like our expertise and our package of products, an integrated kind of approach. We don't just do one thing. If somebody wanted us to,
B2C that different?
Yeah, it is because to us, B2C, usually people are trying to sell something on their website. They have a cart,
a service.
And they're trying to get people a conversion right there. Where B2B is usually not selling something on their website. It's usually trying to get traffic there and trying to fill up a pipeline. And so I'd say integration of the packages we have. Second, we're really service oriented. And I say that meaningful. Because we try to help our clients they rely a lot on our technical expertise as well to do different things for them.
Yeah, most of your clients, do they have someone in-house who knows a little bit, or are you dealing with people who are like me, very green and don't know?
A little of both.
Okay.
There's some people that might have one marketing person, but they don't have 10 legs like an octopus to get
Yeah,
everything done.
Yep.
And they might come to us and say, hey, we got this part down, but we want you to do the SEO and the LinkedIn outreach or whatever it is. And we work with they just consider us part of their team.
Yep.
And so we do that.
That's the best. That's kind of how I try to pitch my services too. Of just like, we get invested in your business. We learn everything we can about your business and figure out creative video solutions to solve your problems. And we kind of want to we hope that we feel like an extension of what you guys are already doing. Yeah.
Right. So all those things kind of add up, and they kind of like the personal touch, and I kind of feel like we have certain expertise that we give consultation on. And what I mean by that is for our customers, they're small to medium size. I started my career in sales and became a sales manager and a VP of sales, and then was on the marketing side and run businesses. So we try to look at it as if it's our business and what we would do to get more traffic customers, or if they're facing other issues. And so, the sales part comes into it. It's one thing, well, great. How are you following up on your leads, and how are you touching them? Because in today's sales world, it's not that black and white where you meet somebody and you give them a proposal and boom, they go. They need to see you. They need to see social proof that you have other customers and they're liking your reviews.
Yep.
You need to touch them with emails and other things. So we try to help them along that process and include the sales part of it.
Okay. You're not doing sales for them, but you make sure that they're doing their sales and help them out.
We'll touch base with them, on it.
Well, that's how they're going to get the ROI on what you guys are doing, right? Because if you do your part and then they fall off on the sales, it's going to look bad, and they're going to be like, "Hey, we're not getting ROI on your service."
Right.
So it's good that you need to make sure their sales is accountable, you know what I mean? And actually following up on what you guys are giving them.
Yeah.
If you're giving them qualified leads and then they're just, not following up with them or not converting them, then.
Right. And then there's, on the content side, we have the content creators that are our clients, and they run into interesting problems, right? Because whatever it was, a year and a half ago, Congress said TikTok was,
Going to be banned.
So they banned it, and then now it came down to the final thing, and some of the content creators we talked to were all up in ears because that's where they drive a lot of business.
Yeah.
And I told them, from a business standpoint, TikTok's, what do they have? 350 million users in the US. I don't know what the number is.
It's a lot,
what's going to happen? It's like, well, it's a big company and big assets. It's not going to go away. It's just going to end up under some ownership. So I wouldn't get nervous that they're going to pull the
But it's
plug.
also important to always diversify and not put all your eggs in one basket, I imagine, right?
It is. And, in our family, people have been checking out Rednote. Are you familiar with Rednote?
Yeah. I know that people were downloading that in that short little period that TikTok was banned. They jumped ship and went over to Rednote.
So I've been looking at it some, and it's pretty interesting. And I think it's kind of cool that two countries that don't speak the same language are communicating in a good way.
Sure, yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to say, hey, people say, well, that house looks just like ours. Well, they're a lot like us.
Yeah, they're not that different.
So that's kind of cool. And Blue Sky is another one that's really growing a lot. And I think that one, the guy who created that was from Twitter, started Twitter and X. And so it just seems like, there's always a lot of more platforms they're trying to get people to go to.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a million different options, I'm sure, especially for advertising, and everyone's trying to create their own platform and do their own thing and do it, put their own spin on it. So I feel like you got to pick two or three that you feel like your clients, your potential clients are on and they're navigating on and spending their time on, and focus on those. You can't be out everywhere all the time, right? So
right.
Yeah. I always, it's one of our onboarding questions is sort of like, well, where are these videos going to live? Where are your target audience? Where are they going to view these? And then that basically helps us shape exactly what we're going to shoot, because LinkedIn audience is very different than a YouTube audience, which is very different than an Instagram audience, right? And so if these, wherever your target demo is and where they're going to see this is how we need to, and we can repurpose it a lot of times. We'll shoot it this way and then we'll crop it square, and we can, crop it vertical or reshoot the whole thing vertical if we need to, depending on where you're going to display it, where you're going to put ad dollars behind it, where you think your target audience is going to see it, right? So it's just different.
We really recommend to people that a portion of their marketing be video.
Yeah.
Because creating content, whether it's text or short video or long video, they all tell stories, and they all tell about your brand.
Yeah. And so, people are like 10 times more likely to watch a 60-second video than read a paragraph of text, right? Yeah. I mean, if I go to a website and I see here's their about information, it's just like 3 paragraphs, or there's a 60-second about video, and I want to learn about the company, which one am I going to do? You know what I mean? I'm going to click on the video and watch the video every time, right? And it'll be the similar information, the same information, but you can communicate that more clearly and effectively through a video. And it builds trust. And it also shows like professionalism, I think.
It does.
If you land on a website and you're trying to decide if you want to work with this company or not, and they have like professional content, and it's like personalized, it's not just like stock images or stock videos. And you can tell like, oh, this is like the cleaner that's going to come clean my house. She's in this video. You know what I mean? Or here's the owner and here's a video of him with his family on the weekends. It's like you get buy-in, you're building trust with your audience, with your potential clients, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think you got to have a certain expertise to be able to create really good videos, in my opinion.
Sure, yeah.
We've seen a lot of different things. So kudos to you for your business.
Oh, thanks.
Everything you put together. And
I mean, I kind of stumbled into it and figured it out. I didn't pick up a camera till I was 28, so I picked it up. I tell people like, I always felt like a creative person. And I tried like painting. I even like got into fashion for a little bit. And I was like trying all these different avenues, and I really never figured it out. And then I picked up a camera and started making videos, and the response that I got was like this like positive feedback loop. People were like, wow, you made that? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, how'd you do that? I'm like, I don't know, just how could you not do it? I just saw what other people were doing and just reverse engineered it in my mind, and it just like came all together like that. And it was like, so then, shot my first wedding back in 2012. And posted it. And I was like, I think I could do this. I think people could probably pay me for this. This is back when wedding videos were kind of like becoming this new thing. And I got a call from her friend. I was like, hey, I saw your video. It was great. What do you charge?
Yeah.
I was like, I have no idea. I was like, $400? She was like, great, you're hired. I was like, I think I just started a business on accident. So that was, 13, 14 years ago.
That's way cool.
So,
It's always interesting how people a seed is planted and you kind of move from one to another until it ends up into something.
Well, I was working for this nonprofit, and it came out of necessity. We needed a video to show at this like fundraising banquet, and we didn't have a budget for a video. Back then it cost a lot of money to like make a good video. And I was like, well, let me just like borrow a camera from someone, and I have this creative idea. Let me see if I can create it. And you know what I mean? And it was terrible, but it was good enough that people came up to me after the event and were like, hey, who made that video? I need a video, And I was like, actually, I did. And they're like, oh, could you help me out a little bit? I'm like, yeah, probably. I could probably figure it out.
Right.
So, it just kind of happened out of necessity. But then I found I was spending more time creating videos than I was doing my job. You know what I mean? It was like a little part of my job, but I was like focusing so much time making these like fun videos and stuff for the nonprofit. And I wasn't, I was still getting my job done, but I was enjoying the process of making videos so much. I was like, I should probably just go do this instead. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, I could see that you guys would need to optimize the content you produce. Like on a website, Google can't read pictures or videos.
You have to add the keywords.
So you got to put alt tags on there and tell them what it is. And then when they come and index the site and you've tagged it, then they know what it is.
Yeah.
And the same thing, like if you're posting something on your YouTube channel, I assume you go through there and optimize everything with their
we try.
keywords.
The title is important, the keywords and the description, and then like good thumbnails and all of that. So we definitely do that. As far as like when we give the photos, or video content to the businesses, we're not following up and telling them how to do the keywords and stuff. We'll leave that up to you guys. So I'll refer them to you from now on. To hey, you need these guys.
What you're doing is part of the optimization effort in the marketing campaign.
Well, the video, I mean, a lot of times videos show up at the top of a Google search, you know what I mean?
Do.
And so I think if you search a business name or you search, and if you have the right title and the right keywords on YouTube, there's a good chance that your video will show up at the top of Google.
Yeah. So
that's a selling point for us. I'm like, I try to tell people that all the time. Like, hey, this is going to do everything that you hope it will, but it's also like going to help your SEO, your organic reach and stuff. People might search the same thing on YouTube. If we can get that to show up at the top of a YouTube
and it's
search.
the second largest search engine in the world.
That's crazy, isn't it? So it's like Google's the biggest, and then YouTube, which is Google. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like
they know what they're doing.
Kind of surprising, huh?
Yeah. Well, cool. I think we covered a lot of ground today, Joe. That was an hour. Does it feel like an hour?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate you.
Hey, likewise. Thanks for having me.
All right. And the best place for people to find you, you want to give them your websites real fast and we can put them in the show notes?
For the digital marketing agency, it's playmakersx.com. So PLAYMAKERSX.com.
Okay.
And then MyFormData is myformdata.com. So you can find either one.
We'll put those in the show notes and on the screen so everybody can find them for you.
Thank you.
We'll backlink them for you.
That sounds perfect. I would like that.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you.